There is a principle that we must grasp when we talk about restoration. God is not just interested in bringing you back to where you were. His nature is to go beyond that. When God restores, he doesn't simply return what was lost. He multiplies it. He takes the years that you thought were wasted, the seasons you felt were unproductive, and he causes them to flourish in ways beyond your imagination. You may have been in a place where you've experienced setbacks. Maybe it's been years of lost time, lost opportunities, or even lost relationships. And perhaps you wonder, can God really restore all that was taken from me? Yes, he can. God is the redeemer of time. Time in his hands is not bound by human limitations. What seemed like wasted years, what seemed like the end of the road, are merely stepping stones to the greater things he has planned for you. When God begins to restore your wasted years, one of the first and most important things he does is give you a renewed vision and clarity. This is a critical step in the process of restoration, because vision is what drives your purpose, and clarity is what gives you the understanding of how to walk in it. Without vision, people perish. This is a biblical truth that speaks to the power of purpose and direction. When you lose vision, you lose the ability to move forward. You stagnate, you wander aimlessly, and life begins to feel as though it has no meaning. But when God steps in, he doesn't leave you in that place of uncertainty. He begins to open your eyes to what's ahead, and that's when the restoration begins to unfold. Renewed vision is a divine reset. It is God hitting the refresh button on your life, enabling you to see not only where you are, but where you're going. This vision is not based on your past mistakes or the time you think you've wasted. It's not rooted in the failures that have haunted you or the missed opportunities that once seemed so important. Instead, renewed vision is based on God's perfect plan for your life. It is a vision that surpasses your understanding and leads you toward a future filled with hope and purpose. When God restores your vision, he gives you insight into what he has always intended for you. There may have been times in your life where you felt completely lost, unsure of what you were meant to do. You may have felt like you were moving in circles, constantly trying new things, but never truly finding fulfillment. The dreams and desires you once had may have seemed far out of reach, buried under layers of disappointment and frustration. But when God renews your vision, he reignites those dreams and brings clarity to your calling. This clarity is essential because it gives you focus. It's one thing to have a vision, but it's another to have clarity about how to pursue it. Many people have dreams, but they lack the focus and direction to turn those dreams into reality. When God restores clarity in your life, he sharpens your focus so that you can see the steps you need to take to walk into your purpose. What once seemed cloudy and uncertain becomes clear. Decisions that were once difficult to make become easier because you have a clear sense of direction. This clarity helps you discern which paths to take and which to avoid. It helps you filter out distractions and focus on what truly matters. As God restores your purpose and gives you fresh vision, you begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. What you previously considered to be setbacks are now stepping stones to your destiny. The things that once caused you frustration or confusion no longer have the same hold over you because you now understand that they were part of God's plan to prepare you for what's ahead. God's restoration brings a shift in perspective, allowing you to view your past through the lens of his purpose. You start to realize that nothing was wasted, even the time that seemed lost. Every experience, every delay, every moment of waiting was building something within you that is now ready to be unleashed. When your vision is renewed, you also experience a new level of confidence. This confidence is not rooted in your own abilities, but in the assurance that God is with you, guiding your steps. You know that you are not walking this path alone. There is a divine plan at work, and God is orchestrating everything for your good. This confidence enables you to move forward boldly, even when the road ahead is uncertain. You are no longer paralyzed by fear or indecision because you have clarity about where you are going and what you need to do. As you gain clarity, you also become more intentional about how you spend your time and energy. You begin to prioritize what truly matters and let go of things that no longer serve your purpose. You recognize that time is a valuable resource, and you no longer want to waste it on pursuits that are not aligned with God's vision for your life. This intentionality brings a sense of peace and fulfillment. because you know that you are walking in alignment with your divine calling. God's restoration of vision and clarity is not a one-time event, it is a continuous process. As you move forward, He will continue to reveal new aspects of your purpose and guide you toward greater understanding. Each step of the journey brings you closer to the fullness of what He has in store for you. There may still be challenges along the way, but with renewed vision and clarity, you are equipped to navigate those challenges with faith and perseverance. In this season of restoration, God is calling you to trust in His timing and to remain patient as He unfolds His plan for your life. You may not have all the answers right now, but that's okay. The important thing is that you have vision and clarity about the next step. And as you take that step in faith, God will continue to illuminate the path before you, leading you into the future He has prepared for you. With renewed vision, your life is no longer defined by your past or by the time you think you've wasted. Instead, it is defined by the purpose God has for you and the future He is calling you to. This is the power of divine restoration. God takes what was broken, what was lost, what was wasted, and He transforms it into something beautiful, something meaningful, something filled with purpose. God's restoration comes with favor. When God begins to restore your wasted years, one of the most profound signs of His restoration is the outpouring of favor over your life. Favor is not something that can be earned. It is a divine grace that comes from God's hand, and it opens doors that no man can shut. When God's favor is upon you, things begin to happen that defy logic. You step into opportunities that seem impossible. Situations that once appeared dead suddenly come alive, and doors that were previously closed start to open in unexpected ways. Favor is a supernatural advantage that sets you apart. It's the grace that allows you to succeed even in circumstances where others may have failed. When God restores your wasted years, He doesn't just restore time, He multiplies the results of your efforts through His favor. What once took you years to accomplish, you now achieve in a fraction of the time because God has placed His hand upon your life. In seasons of loss or stagnation, you may have felt like no matter how hard you worked, you were not seeing the fruit of your labor. You may have been toiling for years without recognition, without advancement, and without the breakthroughs you desire. But when God steps in with His favor, all of that changes. Suddenly what you've been striving for begins to fall into place. The things you've been praying for begin to manifest, not because of your own strength or ability, but because God has chosen to pour His grace upon your life. Favor brings you into alignment with divine appointments. There are times when God strategically positions people in your path to help you move forward. These are individuals who will open doors for you, advocate for you, and provide opportunities that you could not have created on your own. It could be a mentor, a business partner, or even a friend who sees something in you that others have overlooked. This is God's favor at work, using people as instruments to propel you into your destiny. But favor is not just about personal advancement, it is also about kingdom purpose. When God's favor is upon you, it's not merely for your own benefit, it's for the fulfillment of His greater plan in your life. He places you in positions of influence, not just to bless you, but to make you a blessing to others. God's favor enables you to impact lives, to advance His kingdom, and to bring glory to His name. You become a conduit of His grace, and through you, others will come to know His goodness and mercy. It's important to understand that favor doesn't mean life will be free of challenges. Even when God's favor is upon you, there will still be obstacles to overcome. But the difference is that favor gives you the ability to overcome those obstacles with divine assistance. Where others may have crumbled under the pressure, you will rise above it because God's grace is empowering you. Favor doesn't remove the challenges, it gives you the strength and resources to overcome them in ways that bring honor to God. When God restores your wasted years through favor, you also begin to experience divine acceleration. This is the supernatural ability to make up for lost time. You may have felt like you were behind, like others were advancing while you were stuck. But when God's favor touches your life, He accelerates your progress. What should have taken years to accomplish is done in months. What seemed out of reach is now within your grasp because God is moving on your behalf. This is what happens when God redeems the time. You don't just get back what you lost, you get back more. The favor of God also positions you for divine protection. When God's hand is upon you, He shields you from harm. Even when the enemy tries to bring destruction into your life, God's favor acts as a covering, ensuring that no weapon formed against you will prosper. You will walk through storms, but you will come out on the other side without being destroyed. This is the power of favor. It surrounds you like a shield, keeping you safe in the midst of adversity. God's favor is also marked by provision. When you are walking in his favor, the resources you need begin to flow into your life. This could be financial provision, relational provision, or even spiritual provision. Whatever is necessary to fulfill God's purpose for your life, he will supply it. You may have experienced seasons of lack, where it seemed like no matter how much you tried, you couldn't get ahead. But when God's favor is upon you, he opens the windows of heaven and pours out blessings that you don't have room enough to receive. One of the most significant aspects of favor is that it brings peace. When you are walking in God's favor, you are no longer striving in your own strength. You are no longer trying to force things to happen. You can rest in the knowledge that God is in control and that he is working all things together for your good. This peace comes from knowing that his grace is sufficient for you and that his favor will open doors that no man can shut. Healing and wholeness. As God restores your wasted years, another essential part of the process is healing. This is not just physical healing, but a deep emotional and spiritual restoration. When we go through seasons of loss, failure, or missed opportunities, it can leave behind wounds that are often invisible but nonetheless real. These wounds can manifest as bitterness, anger, regret, or even shame. They may cause us to question our worth or to doubt God's goodness. But one of the greatest gifts of God's restoration is that he heals those wounds and brings us into a place of wholeness. True restoration cannot happen without healing. The pain of the past can cloud your vision for the future, and it can keep you stuck in a cycle of defeat. You may have tried to move forward, but found yourself continually pulled back by the hurt, disappointment, or rejection that you've experienced. That's why healing is such a vital part of God's restoration plan. He doesn't just want to restore what was lost on the outside. He wants to heal what's been broken on the inside. God's healing is comprehensive, and it touches every area of your life. The first step in healing is acknowledgement. You cannot heal from what you refuse to face. Many times we try to suppress our pain, burying it deep inside, thinking that if we ignore it long enough, it will go away. But suppressed pain doesn't disappear, it festers. And over time, it can affect every area of your life, from your relationships to your sense of identity. When God restores your wasted years, he first brings you to a place of acknowledgement. He opens your heart to recognize the areas that need healing, the wounds that have been hindering you from walking in the fullness of your purpose. But God doesn't just expose the pain, he applies his healing touch. This healing is both personal and profound. He heals you in ways that no human effort could. Counseling, therapy, or even time can help ease the pain, but only God can bring complete healing and wholeness to your soul. He heals the deepest parts of you, the parts that no one else sees. He touches the areas of your heart that have been scarred by disappointment, rejection, or failure. And when God heals, he doesn't just mend the wound, he makes you whole again. Wholeness is the goal of God's healing. To be whole means to be complete, lacking nothing. It means that you are no longer defined by your brokenness. You are no longer controlled by the pain of your past. You are free to live in the fullness of who God created you to be. This is what God desires for each of us, not just to be healed, but to be whole. He doesn't want you to carry the baggage of your past into your future. He wants you to walk in freedom, unencumbered by the weight of what once held you down. One of the most beautiful aspects of God's healing is that it brings about transformation. You are not the same person you were before the pain. Through the process of healing, God transforms you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The scars may remain, but they no longer define you. Instead, they become a testimony of God's faithfulness and his ability to restore even the most broken areas of your life. Your scars tell a story not of defeat, but of victory through God's power. In the process of healing, forgiveness often plays a central role. You cannot be fully healed until you learn to forgive. This includes forgiving others who may have hurt you, but it also means forgiving yourself. Many times, the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. We hold on to guilt and shame for mistakes we've made, for opportunities we've missed, or for the ways we feel we've fallen short. But God's healing includes the release of that guilt. He forgives us, and in His grace, He empowers us to forgive ourselves. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened or pretending that the pain didn't exist. Rather, it's about releasing the power that the past holds over you. It's about choosing to let go of the bitterness and the anger that keep you bound to what once was. Forgiveness is the key to your healing because it allows you to move forward in freedom. When you forgive, you open the door to the restoration God wants to bring into your life. You are no longer tied to the past. You are free to embrace the future. Another critical element of healing is restoring your sense of identity. Pain has a way of distorting how we see ourselves. It can make us feel unworthy, unloved, or inadequate. When you've gone through seasons of failure or loss, it can lead to a distorted view of your identity. You begin to define yourself by what you've been through rather than by who God says you are. But as God heals you, He also restores your true identity. He reminds you that you are His child, created in His image, and that your worth is not determined by what you've been through, but by who He created you to be. As God heals your heart, He also restores your ability to trust again. Pain can cause us to build walls around our hearts, making it difficult to trust others or even to trust God fully. But healing breaks down those walls, allowing you to open your heart once again. You begin to trust that God's plans for you are good, that His promises are true, and that He is faithful to complete the work He has begun in you. God's healing and wholeness are not just about making you feel better. They are about preparing you for the future He has in store for you. You cannot step into the fullness of your purpose if you are still carrying the wounds of your past. Healing is the pathway to restoration. And as you allow God to heal you, you are being prepared to receive the fullness of the restoration He has promised. One of the most powerful aspects of God's restoration is His ability to bring back opportunities that seem lost forever. There are moments in life when we look back with regret, thinking of the opportunities we missed, the decisions we made that led us away from the path of our dreams, or the seasons where fear or doubt held us back from stepping into what we knew was our destiny. We often believe that those moments once lost are gone forever, that the chance to fulfill those dreams has slipped through our fingers. But with God, nothing is ever truly lost. When God restores your wasted years, He doesn't just give you new opportunities, He brings back the ones you thought were gone. He redeems time in such a way that even the chances you missed can be restored in ways you never imagined. This is the miraculous nature of God's restoration. He is not limited by time or circumstance. The opportunities that you thought were over, He can bring back to life. The dreams that you thought were buried, He can resurrect. God's restoration of lost opportunities often comes in unexpected ways. You may find that the very things you thought you missed out on come back around, but in a way that is even better than you had imagined. Sometimes the delay you experienced wasn't a loss at all. It was a divine setup for something greater. God's timing is perfect, and when He restores opportunities, He does it in such a way that you are better prepared to handle them. The delay was not a denial. It was a time of preparation in the waiting period. God was building something within you, refining your character and strengthening your faith so that when the opportunity returns, you are ready to step into it fully. But it's not just about the opportunities themselves, it's about the timing of those opportunities. There may have been moments when you felt that if only you had acted sooner, or if only you had made a different decision, your life would look entirely different. But God is not constrained by human mistakes. He is able to take even our missteps and turn them into part of His perfect plan. The opportunities you thought were gone can be restored, not because of your ability to go back in time, but because of God's ability to redeem the time. One of the ways God restores lost opportunities is by aligning you with divine connections and resources. There are people, places, and resources that God strategically brings into your life to open doors that once seemed shut. You may have been praying for a certain opportunity only to see it pass you by, and you thought that was the end of the story. But when God moves in your life, He positions the right people at the right time to bring those opportunities back around. These divine connections are part of His restoration plan, and they are often better than anything you could have orchestrated on your own. It's important to understand that restored opportunities don't always look the way we expect. Sometimes the opportunity God restores comes in a different form or through a different avenue than we originally anticipated. But when God restores, He does it in such a way that it exceeds our expectations. What you thought was a missed opportunity may come back around in a way that is more aligned with God's ultimate purpose for your life. You may not even recognize it at first because it doesn't look exactly like what you were expecting. But trust that when God restores an opportunity, it is always for your good and for His glory. Another powerful aspect of God's restoration is that He multiplies opportunities. He doesn't just give back what you lost, He gives back more. The opportunities that come with restoration are often greater than what was originally missed. God is a God of abundance, and when He restores, He doesn't restore in a small way. He restores in a way that reflects His limitless grace and generosity. You may find that not only does God bring back the opportunity you thought was lost, but He opens doors to even greater opportunities that you hadn't even considered. Restoration of opportunities also comes with a renewed sense of purpose. Sometimes we miss opportunities because we weren't fully ready to embrace them. We lack the confidence, the knowledge, or the faith to step into what God had for us. But as God restores those opportunities, He also restores your sense of identity and purpose. He equips you with everything you need to walk into those doors with boldness and assurance. The fear that once held you back is replaced with faith. The doubts that once paralyzed you are replaced with a deep conviction that God is with you and that this is your moment to seize. When God restores your wasted years, He gives you the wisdom to make the most of every opportunity. You are no longer operating from a place of fear or uncertainty. Instead, you have a clear understanding of what God is calling you to do, and you are empowered by His Spirit to walk in obedience. This is a critical part of restoration. God doesn't just give you back the opportunity, He gives you the discernment and wisdom to handle it well. You are no longer the person you were when you first encountered that opportunity. You are stronger, wiser, and more prepared to step into what God has for you. In this process of restoration, God is teaching you to trust His timing. You may have felt like you missed your chance, but God's timing is perfect. The delay was not a waste, it was part of His divine plan. And when the opportunity returns, you will be ready, not just to step into it, but to thrive in it. What you once thought was lost will be restored, and you will see that nothing is impossible with God. When God restores your wasted years, one of the most profound signs of His work in your life is the restoration of joy and peace. The trials, disappointments, and missed opportunities of life can often rob us of our inner sense of peace and joy. We may find ourselves weighed down by regret, anxiety, or even a sense of hopelessness, wondering if we will ever feel truly happy or at peace again. But when God begins the process of restoration, He doesn't just restore what was lost externally, He restores your inner world, your heart, your emotions, and your spirit. Joy and peace are often the first casualties in difficult seasons. As we go through life's challenges, whether it's financial struggles, broken relationships, or personal failures, our joy can easily be depleted. We can become overwhelmed with worry, weighed down by the burdens of life, and lose the sense of joy that once came so naturally. Similarly, our peace can be disturbed by the chaos around us, by the uncertainties of the future, or by the pain of the past. But God promises to restore what has been stolen, including the joy and peace that seem out of reach. One of the ways God restores your joy is by giving you a fresh perspective on your circumstances. When God restores your wasted years, He helps you to see things from His point of view. He shows you that what seemed like loss was really preparation, that what seemed like failure was setting you up for something greater. As He opens your eyes to the bigger picture, your heart begins to lighten and joy returns. You start to realize that God was working all along, even in the moments that seemed dark or hopeless. This new understanding brings a deep sense of joy because you see that God is faithful and that He has been guiding you all along. Joy is also restored as God brings new victories into your life. As he opens doors, restores relationships, and brings back opportunities, the sense of defeat and discouragement you once felt is replaced with a renewed sense of hope. The things that once brought you sorrow are now turned into testimonies of God's goodness. Where there was mourning, there is now rejoicing. The blessings that God pours into your life serve as reminders that he has not forgotten you and that your best days are still ahead. This joy is not based on circumstances, but on the assurance that God is in control and that he is working everything for your good. Restoration of peace often comes hand in hand with restored joy. True peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of God in the midst of it. You may still face challenges, but when God restores your wasted years, he also restores your ability to rest in him. There is a deep and abiding peace that comes from knowing that God is sovereign and that his plans for your life are good. This peace is a gift from God, one that surpasses understanding, and it remains even when circumstances are not perfect. In seasons where peace has been lost, we can become consumed with anxiety or fear about the future. We may lie awake at night, worried about how things will turn out, or feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down on us. But when God restores your wasted years, he brings peace back into your heart. You no longer have to live in fear of what's to come because you trust that God has your future in his hands. This peace gives you the confidence to move forward, knowing that whatever challenges may arise, God's presence will be with you to guide and sustain you. One of the ways God restores peace is by resolving the unresolved issues of your past. There may have been things that have caused you pain or anxiety for years, relationships that were never reconciled, mistakes that were never addressed, or hurts that were never healed. But as part of his restoration, God brings closure to those areas. He heals old wounds, brings reconciliation where it's needed, and gives you the grace to let go of the things you cannot change. This brings a deep sense of peace because you are no longer held captive by the past. You are free to move forward without the baggage of regret or bitterness weighing you down. Restored peace also comes with a renewed trust in God's timing and plan for your life. You may have felt anxious about the future, wondering if things will ever turn around or if you will ever see the fulfillment of your dreams. But as God restores your wasted years, he gives you a sense of peace about where you are and where you're going. You no longer feel the need to rush or force things to happen because you trust that God is leading you according to his perfect timing. This peace allows you to be present in the moment, to enjoy where God has you right now without constantly worrying about what's next. In addition to joy and peace, God's restoration often brings a renewed sense of gratitude as he restores the things that were lost. You begin to appreciate the blessings in your life in a deeper way. You no longer take things for granted, but you recognize the hand of God in every area of your life. This gratitude fuels your joy and peace because you see how far God has brought you and how faithful he has been. You understand that every blessing is a gift from him, and this realization fills your heart with contentment and thankfulness. The restoration of joy and peace is a reflection of God's presence in your life. As you draw closer to him, you experience the fullness of his joy and the calm of his peace. These are not temporary emotions that come and go with changing circumstances, but deep, abiding gifts that come from your relationship with God. When he restores your wasted years, he gives you the ability to rejoice in him, no matter what life brings, and to rest in his peace, knowing that he is in control. This is the ultimate restoration, to have joy and peace that no circumstance can take away because they are rooted in the unchanging character of God. One of the most significant aspects of God's restoration of wasted years is the deep renewal of faith and spiritual growth that accompanies it. During seasons of loss, failure, or missed opportunities, our faith can sometimes be shaken. We may question God's plan, his timing, or even his presence in our lives. Doubt can creep in, and we might find ourselves feeling distant from God or uncertain about his promises. But when God restores, he not only brings back what was lost, he revives our faith and strengthens our relationship with him in ways we never thought possible. As God begins to restore the areas of your life that seemed wasted, your faith is rekindled. You start to see the evidence of his hand in your life, and the things that once felt like obstacles or setbacks now become testimonies of his power and faithfulness. This restoration of faith is often a process, one that begins with small glimpses of God's work but grows as you witness his promises being fulfilled. As he restores, your trust in him deepens because you see that he was with you all along, even in the moments when you couldn't understand his plan. Renewed faith comes with a deeper understanding of God's character. In seasons of difficulty, we may be tempted to see God as distant or unresponsive. But when he restores, we come to know him as the God who redeems, who never abandons his children, and who works all things for our good. This new revelation of God's character transforms our faith because we no longer see him as simply the giver of blessings, but as the one who is intimately involved in every aspect of our lives, guiding, protecting, and shaping us for his purpose. We begin to trust not just in what God can do for us, but in who he is. Another vital part of this restoration process is the refinement of our spiritual maturity during times of hardship or waiting. God often uses those seasons to strengthen our character and deepen our spiritual walk. You may have gone through periods where your faith was tested, where you had to rely on God in ways you hadn't before. And though those times may have felt like wasted years, in reality, they were preparing you for a deeper level of faith and growth. God uses the seasons of struggle to mature us spiritually, to build our endurance, and to teach us lessons that will carry us into the future with greater strength and wisdom. As God restores your wasted years, he also brings you into a new season of spiritual growth. You find yourself drawing closer to him, seeking his presence more earnestly, and relying on his word with greater confidence. The intimacy you develop with God during this time becomes one of the greatest blessings of restoration. Your prayer life is enriched, your worship is more genuine, and your hunger for his word increases. You are no longer content with surface level faith. You desire to go deeper, to know God more fully, and to live in a way that reflects his purpose for your life. Spiritual growth also comes with a renewed sense of purpose and calling. During the years that felt wasted, you may have questioned your calling or doubted your ability to fulfill the purpose God had for you. But as he restores, he reaffirms your calling and gives you a fresh vision for your life. You begin to see that nothing was truly wasted, that even the seasons of difficulty were part of God's preparation process. Your faith is strengthened as you realize that God can use every experience, both the good and the bad, to bring about his perfect plan in your life. In addition, God's restoration often brings a greater sensitivity to his spirit. As your faith is renewed, you become more attuned to the leading of the Holy Spirit. You start to recognize his voice more clearly, to discern his guidance with greater accuracy, and to respond to his promptings with obedience. This heightened spiritual sensitivity is a result of your renewed faith and the deeper relationship you now have with God. You are no longer relying on your own understanding or trying to make things happen in your own strength. Instead, you are fully surrendered to the leading of the Holy Spirit, trusting him to guide you into the restored future God has for you. The restoration of faith also equips you to face future challenges with greater confidence. You are no longer shaken by trials or setbacks in the way you once were, because you have seen firsthand how God can redeem even the most difficult situations. Your faith is now rooted in the assurance that God is in control, that he is faithful to his promises, and that he is working all things for your good. This unwavering faith becomes a foundation for your life, giving you the strength to persevere through any storm and the courage to step into new opportunities with boldness. As God restores your wasted years, your spiritual growth is evident not only to you but to those around you. Your life becomes a testimony of God's grace, power, and faithfulness. Others will see the transformation in you, how your faith has deepened, how your joy has returned, and how your peace is unshakable. And as they witness the restoration God has brought into your life, they too will be encouraged to trust in his ability to restore their own wasted years. Your faith becomes a beacon of hope to those who are still in the midst of their own seasons of waiting or struggle. Ultimately, the restoration of faith and spiritual growth is one of the greatest gifts God can give. It is not just about what he restores externally, but about the internal work he does in your heart. As your faith is renewed and your spirit grows, you become more aligned with his purpose, more attuned to his voice, and more confident in his plans for your life. This is the true essence of restoration, not just the return of what was lost, but the deepening of your relationship with God and the strengthening of your faith in ways that will carry you into the future with hope and expectation. When God restores your wasted years, he also restores relationships that may have been broken, damaged, or lost along the way. Relationships are one of the most valuable aspects of our lives, yet they are often the most fragile. Disagreements, misunderstandings, pride, and selfishness can all contribute to the breakdown of relationships that were once meaningful and life-giving. When we reflect on seasons that feel wasted, we often think of the relationships that were affected, the friends or family members we drifted apart from, the bridges that were burned, or the deep wounds that when set were left unhealed. But God's restoration is holistic. It doesn't just restore things or opportunities, it restores the people in our lives as well. One of the ways God restores relationships is by softening hearts. He can work in ways that no human effort can accomplish. Where there was once bitterness, resentment, or unforgiveness, God can plant seeds of healing, reconciliation, and forgiveness. He touches hearts in ways that allow reconciliation to happen, even when it seemed impossible. You may have thought that certain relationships were damaged beyond repair, but God, in his infinite wisdom and love, can create a path to healing. He mends what was broken and brings people back together, allowing for a fresh start. Restoration doesn't always happen the way we expect. Sometimes God restores relationships by transforming us first. It might be that he is doing a deep work in your heart, teaching you to forgive, to let go of pride, or to approach the situation with humility and grace. Before reconciliation can happen, God may need to heal you from the hurt or anger that has been festering inside. He changes us from within, giving us the capacity to love again, to trust again, and to build relationships on a stronger foundation. Often, the healing and restoration of relationships begin with a change in our own hearts as God prepares us to approach others with a new perspective. Another aspect of God's restoration in relationships is that he often restores them with a deeper sense of purpose and understanding. The relationships that are mended or brought back together after a period of separation are often stronger than they were before. They are built on a foundation of grace, mutual respect, and a deeper appreciation for one another. God allows the past difficulties to be stepping stones that lead to greater growth and intimacy within those relationships. The trials that once threatened to break you apart can actually become the things that bond you closer together. In some cases, God's restoration of relationships may involve bringing new relationships into your life. Not all relationships that were lost need to be restored sometimes. God removes people from your life because they were not aligned with his purpose for you, or because they were leading you away from him. In these cases, God restores by bringing new people into your life, people who will support, encourage, and uplift you. He brings the right connections at the right time, aligning you with those who will help you grow spiritually and walk in your God-given purpose. These new relationships are often part of his plan to restore the years you thought were wasted. God's restoration of relationships also extends to the healing of family ties. Family relationships can be some of the most complicated and painful ones. To navigate disagreements, distance, and unresolved conflicts can create deep wounds that seem impossible to heal. But God is in the business of restoring families. He can bring healing to the deepest family rifts, whether between parents and children, siblings, or extended family members. His restoration brings peace to families as he restores honor, love, and understanding where there was once division and hurt. God's desire is for families to be whole, and his restoration work often begins within the family unit. In many cases, God restores relationships by giving you the courage and wisdom to reach out. Restoration doesn't happen by accident. It often requires intentional effort. You may feel prompted to take the first step toward reconciliation, to extend an olive branch, or to apologize where needed. God will give you the grace to humble yourself, to let go of past grievances, and to seek peace with those from whom you've been estranged. As you move in obedience to God's leading, he works behind the scenes, softening hearts and opening doors for reconciliation to take place. It's important to recognize that not all relationships will be restored in the same way. Some relationships may be reconciled, but not fully restored to their previous state, and that's okay. God's restoration doesn't always mean going back to the way things were. It means bringing healing and closure, even if the relationship changes form. Some relationships may not return to close proximity, but the bitterness, resentment, or hurt is healed and peace is restored between both parties. Restoration can mean setting healthy boundaries while still extending forgiveness and grace. The restoration of relationships also brings healing to your soul. There's a weight that lifts off your heart when you no longer carry the burden of broken relationships. As God restores, you are freed from the pain, bitterness, or regret that has weighed you down. You no longer live under the shadow of what was lost, but instead, you walk in the freedom of restored relationships and the joy of reconciliation. This brings a new sense of peace and fulfillment to your life as you experience the wholeness that God intended for you in your relationships. When God restores relationships, He is glorified through the process. Your story of reconciliation becomes a testimony of His grace, love, and power to heal even the deepest wounds. Those around you will see the work that God has done, and they too will be inspired to seek restoration in their own relationships. Your journey of forgiveness and reconciliation becomes a beacon of hope for others, showing that with God, nothing is beyond repair and that He can restore even the most broken relationships for His glory. A divine promise of hope. In Joel 2:25, God declares, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. This is His promise, not just to the people of Israel, but to you. No matter how much time you feel has been wasted, God is the redeemer of time. When He restores, He brings you to a place of more than you thought possible, more than you ever dreamed. So I encourage you today, don't dwell on the wasted years. Look forward to what God is about to do. You are not bound by your past, and you are not limited by what you lost. Restoration is on its way. God is about to redeem your time, and your best days are ahead of you. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about something often overlooked yet profoundly powerful: the woman with no friends. Now that phrase might sound heavy, but I want to highlight the resilience, strength, and purpose behind it. True strength and purpose are not discovered in the acceptance of others, nor in the comfort of companionship. They are born from the quiet, resilient force within a person, from the depths of their own spirit. When we consider the essence of inner strength, we see that it is not the armor one wears in front of others. It's the spirit that persists when no one is watching, when there are no voices to affirm or encourage. For a woman standing alone, without the company of friends or the approval of a crowd, it is her inner strength that shapes her, that sustains her. This inner strength is more than determination. It's a quiet, enduring courage, a power forged in silence, and an unwavering commitment to her own worth, values, and purpose. In a world so often focused on outer validation, we are encouraged to seek our worth in the reflections cast by others, in the way they perceive and affirm us. Yet when all the noise falls away and we find ourselves alone, it's a reminder that true strength doesn't rely on external validation. True strength is developed through the unique journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance, a journey that often requires stepping away from the crowd. To be alone is not to be weak, rather, it is an invitation to confront one's own spirit and unearth the qualities that lie dormant until tested. It is easy to find strength in numbers, in the support of friends, or the encouragement of loved ones. But the strength that endures, the strength that doesn't waver in the face of adversity, is cultivated in solitude, in moments when it is just her and the choices she makes. This inner strength isn't about avoiding connection or disregarding relationships. It's about establishing a foundation that isn't dependent on them. A woman who learns to stand alone is a woman who cannot be easily shaken. She isn't swayed by the opinions or judgments of others because her sense of self is rooted in something far deeper, far more resilient. It is built on a foundation of purpose and identity that no one else can give her and no one else can take away. When she learns to rely on herself, she discovers that she possesses an inner resource that is vast, that she can draw upon in times of trial or doubt. This is the kind of strength that once developed cannot be undone. It's a silent confidence, a knowledge of who she is and why she is here that cannot be uprooted by criticism or praise alike. purpose, too, is found within, often in those moments of solitude when the distractions and expectations fall away. Many people spend their lives searching for purpose in others, in the roles they play, the relationships they build, the titles they earn. But a purpose that is born from within is different. It is unwavering because it is aligned with the very core of who she is. When a woman understands her purpose from this place of solitude and self-reflection, her direction becomes clear, regardless of who joins her along the way. Friends may walk alongside her, or she may walk alone, but her purpose remains. She isn't relying on others to set her path, because her purpose is something she has defined, something she has nurtured and protected in the quiet places of her heart. The beauty of this inner strength and purpose is that they are not fleeting, they are sustainable and enduring. They don't require the approval or acknowledgement of others to be real. They are built from within, nurtured by the experiences, challenges, and reflections that come from walking a path without the need for constant companionship. This inner strength grows as she faces challenges alone, learning to navigate life's uncertainties with a quiet resilience that doesn't need to be spoken, that doesn't need to be proven to anyone but herself. In these moments, she learns the value of her own mind, her own heart, her own spirit. She realizes that she is enough, not because others say so, but because she has tested her own mettle and knows it to be true. A woman who discovers her own strength and purpose through solitude is not diminished by the lack of friends. Rather, she becomes a beacon of unwavering resolve. She carries within her a self-assuredness that isn't based on accolades or companionship, but on the solid ground of her own worth. This is a strength that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It is a strength that has been earned. And when she walks into a room, it is not the number of people by her side that gives her confidence. It is the depth of her own spirit, the clarity of her own purpose. She walks not to be seen, not to be validated, but to fulfill her purpose, to live out her calling, knowing that her strength lies not in what others can provide, but in what she has found within herself. This inner strength allows her to be selective in her relationships. She doesn't surround herself with people simply for the sake of avoiding loneliness. She knows that any companionship must align with her purpose and values, and she is willing to wait for those connections that truly resonate with her journey. Her self-worth is not dictated by the company she keeps, but by the purpose she pursues. And in this way, solitude becomes a source of power, a way to filter out the noise and distractions that might cloud her vision, that might lead her away from the path she was meant to walk. In the journey of life, one of the most invaluable skills a person can cultivate is self-reliance. For a woman who walks without friends, self-reliance is not just a skill, it is her anchor, her constant. In a world that often celebrates groups and collective endeavors, a woman who has learned to stand alone finds an irreplaceable strength in relying on herself. She knows that life will not always bring a hand to hold or a shoulder to lean on, and so she becomes her own source of strength and comfort. Self-reliance isn't born from a desire to shun others, but rather from the realization that in certain seasons she must be enough for herself. This reliance on her own abilities and judgment is what prepares her to handle life's complexities with poise and confidence. When a woman embraces self-reliance, she gains a new level of freedom. She is no longer limited by the need to seek approval or agreement from others. She becomes her own counsel, weighing her thoughts, actions, and decisions based on her values and wisdom. There is a beauty in this autonomy, for she learns to trust her own instincts, to listen to her own voice, and to be comfortable in her own company. This journey of self-reliance doesn't mean she isolates herself from the world. Rather, it means she stands strong within herself, knowing she possesses the tools to move forward regardless of who is beside her. Self-reliance also teaches her resilience. When challenges arise, she has developed the ability to face them head-on without the expectation that someone else will solve them for her. She is not waiting for rescue, nor is she dependent on others to create her path. This kind of resilience transforms her into a woman who can adapt, who can survive the storms of life because she has learned to navigate on her own. In times of uncertainty, she finds a calm within herself, knowing that she has walked difficult roads before and can do so again. Her strength lies not in numbers, but in her ability to rise, to endure, and to move forward independently. This journey of self-reliance often comes with moments of solitude where she must confront her own fears, doubts, and insecurities. Without the constant input or reassurance from others, she learns to find validation within. She realizes that her worth is not tied to what others think of her or what society expects. In this independence, she is free from the pressure to conform or to compromise her values to fit in. She understands that her journey is uniquely her own, and she becomes comfortable with walking a path that might look different from those around her. This is not loneliness, it is the powerful freedom of self-reliance, of knowing that she can stand firmly on her own foundation. A self-reliant woman is not easily shaken by life's uncertainties. She has learned to manage her own emotions, to find solutions to her own problems, and to remain calm in situations where others might seek comfort or reassurance. This kind of strength allows her to face life with a grounded perspective, to understand that while relationships and support systems are valuable, they are not her sole source of strength. She does not view herself as incomplete without others because she knows that she is whole on her own. This wholeness is a testament to her resilience, her courage, and her commitment to her own growth. Self-reliance also breeds a level of self-confidence that cannot be easily shaken. She understands that while opinions may vary and circumstances may change, her foundation is unmovable because it is based on who she is at her core. She trusts herself, not in a way that isolates her from others, but in a way that allows her to interact from a place of strength. She does not cling to people or situations out of fear of being alone. Instead, she remains steady, knowing that she is capable of meeting her own needs, solving her own problems, and creating her own happiness. In this way, self-reliance becomes a source of peace, a sense of inner assurance that she can rely on no matter what. By embodying self-reliance, she becomes someone who others may look to for strength and guidance. She is not seeking validation, but her quiet confidence and independence serve as a powerful example of what it means to be whole on one's own. She understands that life is not always fair and that people will not always be present to support her. But this knowledge does not bring despair, it brings resilience. She has learned to make her peace with her own company, to find joy in her own presence, and to lean on herself with the knowledge that she is more than capable. This self-reliance becomes her hallmark, the strength that others may see but rarely understand, the courage to walk alone and to trust that her own 2 feet are enough to carry her forward. In solitude, a woman finds herself. It is often in the quiet and in the absence of companionship that she learns who she truly is, unfiltered and undistracted. Solitude is not a void, it is a sacred space, a place where she can meet her truest self without the noise, opinions, or influences of others clouding her vision. Many people fear solitude, associating it with loneliness or emptiness, but a woman who embraces it understands that solitude is a powerful teacher. It is in solitude that she begins to hear her own voice, to understand her own desires, and to discern her own path. This time alone gives her the opportunity to reflect, to look inward, and to become comfortable in her own presence. She begins to realize that solitude is not a punishment, but a divine invitation to explore the depths of her soul. In solitude, she has the freedom to let down her guard, to ask herself the hard questions, and to confront aspects of herself that she might otherwise ignore. Here, she is free from the expectations of others, and she can begin to understand her true motivations, values, and dreams. This process of self-reflection brings clarity, allowing her to strip away what does not serve her and to align herself with what truly matters. In solitude, she can address the parts of herself that need healing and growth. Without distraction, she can confront the areas of her life where she may feel weak or uncertain, and she has the space to explore these without judgment. This is a time of self-discovery where she learns not only about her strengths but also about her vulnerabilities. She gains insight into her fears, insecurities, and areas where she needs grace and patience. Solitude gives her the courage to look at herself with honesty and compassion, to understand that growth requires time, and to embrace every part of herself without criticism or shame. A woman who understands the gift of solitude also learns to be at peace with herself. In solitude, she finds a kind of contentment that does not depend on the presence or approval of others. She realizes that her happiness is not contingent upon anyone else, and this is a liberating truth. She can find joy in her own thoughts, beauty in her own company, and strength in her own spirit. Solitude becomes a place of refuge, a sanctuary where she can rest and recharge, knowing that she does not need external validation to feel whole or valuable. This peace is a rare gift, one that many seek but few find, and she treasures it as a source of stability and confidence. As she spends time in solitude, she begins to build an unshakable foundation of self-respect and inner calm. She learns that while relationships are a blessing, her sense of worth and peace must come from within. This inner calm becomes a fortress, protecting her from the chaos and instability of the outside world. When she has this grounding in solitude, she is not easily swayed by the opinions or demands of others. She remains rooted in her own truth, able to discern what aligns with her values and what does not. Her time alone strengthens her resolve, allowing her to make decisions from a place of confidence and clarity rather than fear or insecurity. Solitude also brings a profound sense of independence. When she is comfortable being alone, she is free from the need to seek constant companionship or approval. She no longer relies on others to fill her with joy or to give her life meaning. She finds those things within herself. This independence allows her to engage with others from a place of wholeness rather than seeking something from them to complete her. She does not enter relationships out of need or dependency, but from a genuine desire to connect and to share her journey. This makes her relationships richer and more fulfilling as they are rooted in mutual respect and authenticity rather than in any unspoken need. Solitude then becomes a powerful tool for growth and transformation. It allows her to tap into her creativity, to explore her passions, and to nurture her dreams. With no one else around to influence her choices, she has the freedom to pursue what genuinely fulfills her. She can dream without limits, setting goals that align with her own purpose and calling. This time alone fosters self-expression and self-discovery, allowing her to develop gifts and talents that might otherwise remain hidden. She realizes that she is capable of so much more than she ever imagined, and her confidence grows as she sees herself achieving and thriving in ways she once only dreamed of. Through solitude, she gains a sense of connection to something greater than herself. In the quiet, she feels the presence of the divine, a peace and assurance that she is never truly alone. Solitude becomes a spiritual experience, a time when she can connect with God, seek guidance, and strengthen her faith. This time alone deepens her understanding of herself and her purpose in life. She learns to lean into this divine companionship, finding comfort in knowing that she is seen, known, and loved beyond measure. A woman who understands solitude carries herself with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing who she is and whose she is. She has faced herself in the silence, embraced her strengths and weaknesses, and found peace within her own heart. This peace radiates from her, drawing others to her not out of necessity, but out of admiration for the strength and wisdom she embodies. There, she is comfortable standing alone, yet she is never truly alone, for she has built a life and spirit that are whole, resilient, and deeply connected to the one who created her. For a woman without friends, emotional resilience becomes not just a skill, but a lifeline. Life's ups and downs, its moments of joy and sorrow, often come without warning, and a woman who has cultivated emotional resilience can face these moments with grace and strength. Emotional resilience is more than just being strong. It is the ability to feel deeply, to experience the fullness of life's challenges, and to rise each time, carrying forward the wisdom gained from every experience. When she is alone with no close friends to lean on, she learns how to process and manage her emotions in ways that build her up rather than break her down. This resilience is a hard-earned gift. Without the immediate comfort of friends, she becomes her own source of comfort and compassion. She learns to sit with her emotions, to understand their roots, and to allow herself to feel without becoming overwhelmed. Rather than pushing away difficult feelings, she confronts them, asking herself what they reveal about her inner world. She understands that emotions, even painful ones, are valuable teachers, revealing areas where she may need healing or growth. In this process, she gains a profound self-awareness and maturity that strengthen her from within. Each challenge she faces alone adds another layer to her resilience, reinforcing her ability to navigate future struggles with greater ease. Emotional resilience also teaches her the power of letting go. When disappointments arise, when things don't go as planned, or when relationships fall short, she knows that holding on to bitterness or regret will only weigh her down. Instead, she chooses to release what no longer serves her, to forgive herself and others, and to move forward with a clear heart. She understands that clinging to past hurts only keeps her bound, while letting go frees her to grow. This strength to release and move on doesn't come easily. It is a skill she has honed through experience, a habit she has developed through countless instances of choosing peace over pain. This emotional clarity allows her to stay focused on her path, unencumbered by the weight of past disappointments. In building emotional resilience, she also learns to set boundaries not only with others but with herself. She knows that some situations and relationships may drain her rather than uplift her, and she becomes wise in choosing where to invest her energy. When she learns to set these boundaries, she guards her peace and preserves her emotional well-being. She realizes that emotional resilience doesn't mean bearing everything alone. It means choosing wisely what and who to allow into her life. Boundaries become a way of protecting her peace, her purpose, and her growth. She has the courage to say no when necessary and the wisdom to prioritize her own well-being. Her emotional resilience gives her an unwavering sense of stability, a grounding that allows her to remain calm even in the face of chaos. While others may be easily thrown off balance by challenges or criticism, she stands firm, anchored by her deep understanding of herself and her ability to regulate her own emotions. She knows that she can withstand life's storms without losing her sense of self. This resilience doesn't make her immune to pain, rather, it gives her the strength to feel deeply without losing her foundation. She understands that true strength is not found in avoiding vulnerability, but in embracing it, in allowing herself to be fully human while also choosing to rise above. Another dimension of emotional resilience is her ability to maintain hope. She knows that every struggle, every setback is temporary, and that each difficulty holds the potential to strengthen her and shape her character. She faces challenges with the belief that she is being refined, that every trial is a stepping stone to greater wisdom, strength, and purpose. This perspective allows her to keep moving forward, even when the path is unclear or when hope feels distant. Her resilience is fueled by this inner optimism, a quiet confidence that life's hardships are not meant to break her, but to build her. She holds on to this hope, drawing strength from her own spirit and pressing forward with grace. In cultivating emotional resilience, she becomes a woman of depth and wisdom. She is not easily swayed by emotions or circumstances, for she has faced herself, learned to manage her inner world, and emerged stronger. This resilience radiates from her, a silent strength that others recognize even if they cannot fully understand it. Her presence is calming, her perspective is balanced, and her heart is compassionate. Because she has experienced pain and risen above it, she has a deep empathy for others, a kindness that is born from understanding rather than pity. Her resilience has not hardened her. Instead, it has softened her in the most beautiful way, giving her the ability to relate to others with compassion while remaining grounded in her own strength. A woman with emotional resilience is a force to be reckoned with. She doesn't crumble under pressure, nor is she easily shaken by life's unpredictability. She is rooted, steady, and courageous, knowing that her worth and strength come from within. Her resilience becomes a beacon for others, an example of what it means to face life with an open heart and a steadfast spirit. She knows that emotional resilience is not about avoiding pain, but about using every experience to deepen her understanding of herself, to strengthen her spirit, and to become the woman she was always meant to be. A woman without friends often turns inward to find meaning and purpose, shaping her life around her own calling rather than the expectations or validations of others. When social distractions are few, her vision becomes clear. She learns to quiet the outside noise and tune in to what truly stirs her heart. This clarity of vision allows her to focus deeply on what she is passionate about, to dedicate herself to pursuits that align with her purpose rather than being swayed by popular opinion or external approval. In this pursuit of purpose, she begins to craft a life filled with meaning, authenticity, and intention. Her purpose becomes a compass, guiding her through every decision and action. She is not searching for fleeting happiness, but for lasting fulfillment, something that goes beyond temporary satisfaction. She understands that a life grounded in purpose is a life that is resilient, meaningful, and unshakable. With this focus, she becomes deeply connected to what she truly values and finds strength in the fact that her journey is guided by her own inner calling. Her goals are not based on social validation or the approval of others. They are based on the dreams and aspirations that resonate within her soul. This unwavering commitment to her purpose gives her a strength that is rooted not in appearance or popularity, but in the genuine fulfillment of living in alignment with her highest values. Without the distractions that often come from group influence or the need to conform, she can devote herself fully to her vision. She develops discipline, the kind that requires no outside encouragement, because her motivation is internal. Her focus on her purpose becomes a source of energy, driving her forward even when the path seems difficult or uncertain. She has learned that a life of meaning is one that requires dedication and perseverance, and she is willing to work tirelessly to bring her vision to fruition. In moments of solitude, she finds herself refining her goals, planning her next steps, and creating a future that aligns with her deepest sense of purpose. This focus on purpose also brings her a sense of resilience and resolve. She understands that challenges are simply part of the journey, not deterrents from her path. She is committed to her vision, so she is not easily shaken by setbacks or failures. Rather than seeing these as reasons to abandon her dreams, she views them as opportunities to grow, to learn, and to strengthen her character. Each obstacle she faces becomes another step in her journey, bringing her closer to her goals. She has learned to rise above disappointment because her vision is greater than any single setback. Her purpose provides her with a sense of direction, a North Star that keeps her moving forward, regardless of temporary challenges. A woman who lives with purpose is a woman who knows who she is. Her identity is not based on her social connections, but on her alignment with her calling. She does not seek to fit in or to be liked. Instead, she seeks to fulfill her unique mission. This gives her a rare confidence and independence, for she is not swayed by external opinions or pressures. Her sense of self-worth is deeply connected to the fulfillment of her purpose, and she knows that her value is intrinsic, not based on what others may think of her. She moves through life with a quiet assurance, a knowledge that she is exactly where she is meant to be, doing what she is meant to do. This confidence is not loud or boastful. It is a calm, unwavering faith in herself and in her purpose. Her purpose becomes a gift not only to herself but to the world. As she commits to living out her vision, she brings something meaningful to those around her, whether through her work, her kindness, or her wisdom. She understands that her life is part of a bigger picture, and her purpose allows her to contribute to this larger vision in a unique and valuable way. She is not motivated by recognition, but by the desire to make a difference, to leave a positive impact, and to live a life that reflects her highest ideals. Her purpose-driven life inspires others to look within themselves, to seek their own calling, and to live with intention. In her journey toward purpose, she also finds a deep sense of peace. She knows that while relationships are beautiful, her sense of worth is not dependent on them. Her purpose provides her with a sense of fulfillment that no social connection could replace. She finds joy in her journey, satisfaction in her progress, and contentment in the knowledge that she is fulfilling her calling. This peace is rooted in her understanding that she is doing what she was created to do, that her life has meaning beyond any one relationship or circumstance. It is a peace that sustains her, a strength that fuels her, and a light that guides her path. Her purpose gives her life an unshakable foundation, a rock-solid stability that no external circumstance can disrupt. This grounding in purpose allows her to face life with confidence, knowing that her life has meaning and direction. She walks with her head high, not because she has all the answers, but because she has found something worth living for. Her purpose gives her life direction, her vision gives her focus, and together they create a life of fulfillment, resilience, and impact. A woman who finds herself without friends often develops a profound sense of independence and self-sufficiency, realizing she must rely on her own strengths and resources to navigate life's challenges. This independence is not merely the absence of dependency, it's an empowering realization that she is capable of meeting her own needs, of taking charge of her life without relying on anyone else's support or validation. This journey to self-sufficiency teaches her resourcefulness, creativity, and resilience, building her into someone who understands that her strength is something she cultivates from within. When a woman becomes independent, she learns to trust herself. She knows that she has what it takes to make wise choices, to overcome obstacles, and to find solutions to her problems. This sense of trust in herself is freeing because she no longer needs external reassurance to feel confident. She begins to cultivate a deep inner assurance that her intuition, experience, and knowledge are enough. This trust is essential. It empowers her to make decisions based on what aligns with her values and goals, rather than out of fear of disappointing others or seeking approval. The more she relies on her inner guidance, the stronger and more confident she becomes, developing a self-reliance that carries her through life with grace and confidence. This self-sufficiency also allows her to embrace a lifestyle that reflects her authentic self. She can live according to her own rules, create her own routines, and pursue goals that are meaningful to her without feeling the need to fit into anyone else's mold. She finds freedom in crafting a life that is uniquely hers, not shaped by societal pressures or the need to belong. Her choices, from career to lifestyle to personal beliefs, are all driven by her inner convictions, not by the influence or expectations of others. This autonomy gives her a profound sense of freedom and joy, allowing her to build a life that is truly hers, a life that reflects her dreams, aspirations, and beliefs. As she grows in independence, she becomes highly adaptable. Life may throw her curveballs, yet she has learned how to pivot, adjust, and find new paths forward. When there are no friends to lean on, she discovers new strengths and abilities within herself. This adaptability becomes one of her greatest assets, giving her the courage to embrace change, to try new things, and to explore paths that she might never have considered otherwise. She becomes someone who doesn't crumble under pressure, but rises to meet it with determination and resilience, knowing that she can handle whatever comes her way. Her adaptability also makes her open-minded and resourceful, qualities that enable her to thrive in diverse situations and to face challenges head-on. Self-sufficiency also brings with it a deep appreciation for her own company. Rather than feeling lonely, she finds contentment in spending time alone, in pursuing her own interests and passions, and in exploring the world on her own terms. She develops hobbies, learns new skills, and expands her horizons in ways that fulfill her spirit and engage her mind. Her life becomes rich with activities and interests that she genuinely enjoys, giving her a sense of fulfillment that doesn't depend on anyone else. This ability to enjoy her own company is a powerful gift, as it means she is never truly alone. She has learned to become her own best friend, her own source of joy, and her own source of strength. As she builds self-sufficiency, she also learns to set her own goals and work diligently to achieve them. She no longer relies on outside encouragement to stay motivated. Instead, she finds her drive within. This internal motivation fuels her ambition, allowing her to pursue her dreams with focus and dedication. She becomes someone who doesn't wait for things to happen. She takes initiative, creating her own opportunities and building the future she envisions. Her life is not defined by circumstances or by the opinions of others, but by her own determination and perseverance. Each achievement becomes a testament to her strength and commitment, and each step forward reinforces her confidence and belief in her own abilities. A self-sufficient woman is also highly selective about the relationships she forms. Because she doesn't need others in the traditional sense, she approaches relationships with a sense of intentionality. She values quality over quantity, choosing connections that are genuine, meaningful, and aligned with her values. She is not seeking approval or validation, but rather companionship that adds value to her life. This selective approach enables her to create relationships that are based on mutual respect and shared values, free from dependency or superficiality. She forms bonds that are authentic and enriching, relationships that enhance her life rather than define it. Independence teaches her that she is enough, that she has everything she needs within herself to lead a fulfilling and meaningful life. She becomes someone who can stand alone, not out of bitterness or isolation, but out of strength and confidence. This self-sufficiency is a beautiful foundation, one that allows her to approach life with an open heart and a fearless spirit. She knows that whatever challenges she may face, she has the strength, wisdom, and resilience to overcome them. She carries herself with a quiet dignity, a self-assuredness that inspires others to believe in their own abilities and potential. Her independence is a testament to her courage, her self-worth, and her determination to live life on her own terms. She does not depend on others for happiness or fulfillment. She creates these from within. And in doing so, she becomes a beacon of strength and inspiration. A woman who shows that true independence is not just about being alone, it is about being whole, capable, and deeply at peace with oneself. A woman who walks without the constant companionship of friends often finds herself deepening her connection to something greater than herself. In the absence of social comfort, she turns inward, nurturing an unwavering faith that becomes the core of her resilience. This faith may be in God and a higher purpose, or in the belief that her life has profound meaning. It is through this connection that she finds guidance, strength, and comfort, even in times of solitude or challenge. Her faith becomes her anchor, a source of inner strength that steadies her when life feels uncertain or overwhelming. Faith transforms her solitude into a sacred space, a place where she finds peace and clarity. She learns to silence her mind, to listen deeply, and to receive wisdom and inspiration from within. This quiet communion strengthens her spirit, bringing her a calm assurance that she is never truly alone. Her faith teaches her that her life is guided, that every experience holds purpose, and that she is exactly where she is meant to be at this moment. This belief in a higher purpose fills her with a quiet confidence and empowers her to face each day with courage and grace. She understands that her path, though sometimes lonely, is uniquely hers to walk, and that every step brings her closer to fulfilling her divine purpose. This woman's faith gives her the patience to trust in divine timing. When things don't go as planned, or when she encounters setbacks, she doesn't fall into despair. Instead, she leans on her faith, trusting that every delay, every challenge is part of a greater plan. She knows that there is a purpose behind every experience, even if she can't see it immediately. This patience, born from faith, gives her peace amid the unknown, allowing her to wait with grace and to continue moving forward with a hopeful heart. She trusts that the journey is just as important as the destination, and that each step is preparing her for something greater. Her faith keeps her grounded, reminding her that while she may not control every aspect of her life, she can choose to trust, to persevere, and to believe in the beauty of what lies ahead. With her faith, she gains a deep sense of gratitude. She learns to appreciate the small blessings, the everyday moments that others might overlook. Her gratitude becomes a form of worship, a way of recognizing the goodness in her life, even during times of solitude. She understands that each day is a gift, that every breath is a blessing, and that her life is a testament to grace and purpose. This gratitude fills her with joy, turning even mundane moments into experiences of beauty and significance. Her faith teaches her to focus on the blessings she has rather than on what she lacks, and this perspective fills her heart with contentment and peace. Faith also gives her the courage to take risks, to step out in faith even when the outcome is uncertain. She knows that she is guided and protected, that every step forward brings her closer to her purpose. This courage allows her to pursue her dreams, to embrace new opportunities, and to live boldly, unafraid of failure or rejection. Her faith teaches her that life is a journey of growth and transformation, one where each challenge is an opportunity to strengthen her spirit and expand her capacity for love and compassion. She moves through life with a spirit of adventure, knowing that her faith will guide her through whatever lies ahead. A woman with unwavering faith is unshakable, not because she has all the answers, but because she trusts in the one who does. She finds comfort in prayer, strength in meditation, and wisdom in quiet reflection. Her faith becomes a conversation with the divine, an ongoing relationship that deepens as she navigates life's joys and trials. In moments of doubt, she turns to her faith, allowing it to renew her strength and restore her hope. This connection to something greater than herself gives her an inner peace that is untouched by external circumstances. It is a peace that cannot be taken from her because it is rooted in her soul, a part of who she is. Faith teaches her compassion, both for herself and for others. She learns that her struggles are not unique, that everyone carries their own burdens, and this understanding fills her with empathy. Her faith encourages her to show kindness, to extend grace, and to be a light for those around her. She becomes a source of comfort to others, not because she has all the answers, but because she has a heart that understands, a soul that cares, and a spirit that uplifts. Her faith inspires her to be a blessing, to use her strength and resilience to make a positive impact on the lives of others. In the end, her unwavering faith becomes the foundation of her life, the unmovable rock upon which she stands. It is a faith that has been tested, strengthened, and refined through solitude, resilience, and trust. Her life is a testament to the power of faith, a reflection of what it means to walk with a heart open to divine guidance. She knows that her journey is a part of a larger purpose, that her steps are guided, and that her life has meaning beyond what she may see. This faith fills her with courage, peace, and joy, reminding her every day that she is deeply loved, purposefully guided, and profoundly whole. A woman without close friendships often learns to derive her sense of self-worth from within, rather than from external approval. She realizes that her value is not tied to who accepts or validates her, but rather to her inherent dignity, purpose, and unique qualities. This understanding is liberating, for she no longer seeks approval or affirmation to feel worthy. Instead, she understands her own value deeply and unconditionally, allowing her to live freely, regardless of the opinions or judgments of others. She becomes immune to the influences that might sway her from self-acceptance, focusing instead on building a life rooted in her own strengths and values. In the silence of solitude, she learns to appreciate who she is without comparison. She understands that her worth is not based on how she measures up to others, but on her unique contributions, talents, and inner character. This perspective allows her to focus on personal growth and self-improvement, striving not to impress, but to evolve. Each small accomplishment, each act of kindness, each step toward her dreams reinforces her sense of worth, helping her recognize that she is enough as she is. Her value becomes self-sustained, nurtured by her commitment to personal excellence and the knowledge that her life has purpose and meaning. As she grows in her self-worth, she becomes more selective about what and whom she allows into her life. She is no longer afraid of saying no to people, situations, or commitments that don't honor her boundaries or her values. Her confidence in her own worth enables her to set healthy boundaries, protecting her time, energy, and peace. She understands that her well-being is essential and that her self-respect comes before the need to please or appease others. This strength empowers her to build relationships based on mutual respect, authenticity, and genuine support rather than on the need for validation. Living with self-worth also allows her to appreciate her own successes without seeking acknowledgement. She is content to celebrate her achievements quietly, knowing that her journey is for her and no one else. She takes pride in her efforts, her resilience, and her growth, understanding that her life is a testament to her courage and dedication. This quiet confidence enables her to navigate life with grace, knowing that her self-worth does not depend on external applause. Her joy comes from within, from knowing that she is living authentically, achieving her goals, and growing into the person she is meant to be. Her self-worth also frees her from the need to conform to others' expectations. She is not bound by societal norms or pressure to fit a certain mold. She is comfortable in her uniqueness, embracing her individuality as a gift rather than as something to hide or change. This confidence in her own identity allows her to express herself fully, to pursue her passions, and to live according to her own values. She understands that her uniqueness is her strength and that her life is most meaningful when it reflects who she truly is, not a version shaped by others' expectations. This liberation brings her joy and a sense of fulfillment, knowing that her life is truly her own. When she embraces her self-worth, she finds that her life becomes a source of light and inspiration to others. Her inner confidence radiates, showing others that they too can find value within themselves, independent of external validation. She becomes a living example of what it means to be whole, to be enough, and to live with self-respect. This quiet assurance, this sense of self-worth is her gift to the world, encouraging others to recognize and honor their own worth. Her life becomes a message of empowerment, a reminder that true value comes from within, from knowing and embracing one's own heart, soul, and purpose. Through her journey, she learns that self-worth is not a destination, but an ongoing relationship with herself, one she tends to every day with love, acceptance, and kindness. She understands that there will be moments of doubt, but she knows how to return to that deep sense of worth within her. She is her own source of validation, her own greatest advocate, and her own best friend. Her self-worth is a reflection of her inner peace and strength, a constant reminder that she is valuable, capable, and complete. This inner foundation empowers her to face life's challenges with resilience, grace, and a deep sense of contentment, knowing that her worth is eternal, untouchable, and divinely given. In the journey of a woman without friends, we find a story of profound strength, resilience, and unwavering purpose. She walks a path that, though solitary, is deeply enriching, one where her identity is built from within, free from external validation. Through solitude, she discovers her own inner power and finds a faith that guides her through every challenge. Her independence, purpose, and self-sufficiency are not signs of loneliness. Rather, they are the markers of a life lived in alignment with her deepest values and her divine calling. This woman understands that true fulfillment does not come from the number of friends or the approval of others, but from living a life of purpose, gratitude, and courage. She has learned to trust herself, to value her unique journey, and to walk in faith even when the path is uncertain. Her life is a testament to the power of inner strength, resilience, and unwavering faith in something greater than herself. So to every woman on this journey, know that your solitude is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is a space where you cultivate wisdom, resilience, and purpose. You are not defined by the presence or absence of friends, but by the depth of your character, the strength of your spirit, and the clarity of your vision. Walk boldly, live purposefully, and let your life be a light for others. Remember, you are not alone, you are guided, and you are deeply enough. Ladies and gentlemen, as we stand at the dawn of a new day, I invite you to embrace the profound wisdom found in Psalm 27. This psalm is not merely a collection of words, it is a powerful declaration of faith and a source of strength for our journey ahead. First, let us recognize the assurance of God's presence. As we navigate the complexities of life, it is essential to start each day with the assurance that God is present with us, providing unwavering protection and immense strength. The moment we awaken, we are faced with a world filled with uncertainties, challenges, and opportunities. How we choose to approach this day can determine the trajectory of our thoughts, actions, and experiences. When we embrace the presence of God at the beginning of our day, we set a powerful foundation that influences every aspect of our lives. The assurance of God's presence is not merely a comforting thought, it is a profound truth that empowers us. The psalmist reminds us that the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? This declaration serves as a powerful reminder that we do not walk alone. In our moments of uncertainty, we can rest assured that God is by our side, illuminating our paths and guiding our decisions. When we awaken each morning, we are invited to enter into a relationship with our Creator, who knows us intimately and cares for us deeply. This connection fosters a sense of belonging and purpose, reminding us that we are part of something greater than ourselves. Starting the day with the awareness of God's presence helps us confront our fears and anxieties. Fear can be paralyzing, often clouding our judgment and leading us into a cycle of doubt and worry. However, when we recognize that God is with us, we gain the strength to face those fears head on. Imagine waking up in the morning and acknowledging that the Creator of the universe stands beside you. This truth can transform our perspective, enabling us to approach challenges with courage rather than trepidation. Instead of letting fear dictate our choices, we can rely on God's promises, knowing that His presence offers protection and strength. Moreover, God's presence in our lives provides us with a sense of security that transcends our circumstances. In times of trouble, when the storms of life threaten to overwhelm us, we can find refuge in His embrace. The psalmist beautifully articulates this idea, for in the day of trouble, he will conceal me in his tabernacle, in the secret place of his tent. He will hide me. This imagery evokes a sense of safety and comfort, as if we are cradled in God's protective arms. No matter what challenges may arise during the day, we can trust that God will shield us, guiding us through the tumultuous waters and bringing us safely to shore. Starting the day with the assurance of God's presence also empowers us to navigate relationships with love and grace. When we recognize that God is with us, we are reminded of his character, his love, compassion, and mercy. This awareness encourages us to extend those same qualities to others. As we interact with family, friends, and colleagues, we become vessels of God's love, reflecting his light in a world that often feels dark and chaotic. Each encounter becomes an opportunity to demonstrate kindness, understanding, and patience. The strength we draw from God enables us to be agents of positive change in our communities, fostering an atmosphere of unity and support. Furthermore, embracing God's presence allows us to align our hearts and minds with his purpose. Each day brings new opportunities for growth and service, and when we start our mornings by acknowledging God, we invite his guidance into our lives. We can ask him to reveal our purpose for the day, helping us prioritize our actions and focus on what truly matters. This alignment not only enhances our productivity, but also brings fulfillment as we engage in meaningful endeavors that reflect our values and aspirations. In the quiet moments of the morning, when the world is still waking up, we have a unique opportunity to cultivate a deeper relationship with God. This can take many forms: prayer, meditation, reading scripture, or simply sitting in silence. Each of these practices opens the door to experiencing God's presence in a profound way. As we engage in these sacred moments, we begin to hear his voice more clearly, guiding us throughout the day. The more we embrace his presence in the morning, the more attuned we become to his whispers of love and direction. It is crucial to remember that the assurance of God's presence does not mean we will be free from difficulties. Life will inevitably present challenges, trials, and moments of uncertainty. However, the difference lies in how we respond to those challenges. When we start our day with the knowledge that God is with us, we face obstacles with resilience and hope. Our faith transforms fear into courage, worry into trust, and uncertainty into assurance. We can rest in the promise that, regardless of what the day may bring, we are never alone. Therefore, let us commit to starting each day with the profound assurance that God is present in our lives. As we rise each morning, may we take a moment to breathe in his presence, acknowledging that we are protected and strengthened by the creator of the universe. Let us embrace this truth wholeheartedly, allowing it to shape our thoughts, actions, and interactions. When we begin our day with God, we embark on a journey filled with purpose, strength, and the unwavering knowledge that we are deeply loved and cared for. This daily practice transforms not just our mornings, but our lives, enabling us to walk boldly in faith, fully aware that we are enveloped in divine love and protection. Second, I urge you to declare your faith. Declaring our faith each morning is an essential practice that shapes our mindset and sets the tone for the day ahead. The words we speak possess incredible power. They can create realities, influence our emotions, and guide our actions. When we start our day with a declaration of faith, we are not just speaking words, we are aligning our hearts with God's promises, reinforcing our belief in his goodness and provision. This intentional act of declaration becomes a powerful catalyst for transformation in our lives. As we wake up each morning, we are presented with a choice. We can either dwell on our fears, anxieties, and uncertainties, or we can declare the truth of who God is and what he has promised us. The psalmist in Psalm 27 exemplifies this declaration by proclaiming, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" This statement is more than a mere acknowledgement. It is a profound declaration of faith that recognizes God's sovereignty and power. When we speak these words over our lives, we invite God's light to illuminate our paths, dispelling darkness and fear. When we declare our faith, we engage in a form of spiritual warfare. The enemy seeks to sow seeds of doubt and discouragement in our hearts, trying to convince us that we are not enough or that our circumstances are insurmountable. However, when we counter these negative thoughts with affirmations of our faith, we stand firm in the truth of God's word. Each morning, we can declare that we are favored, that we are blessed, and that we have to have the strength to overcome any challenge. This practice builds our resilience and reinforces our identity as children of God. Furthermore, declarations of faith help to cultivate a positive mindset. Our thoughts shape our reality, and by choosing to focus on God's promises, we shift our perspective from one of fear to one of hope. As we proclaim His goodness, we begin to see our circumstances through the lens of faith rather than doubt. This shift can radically alter our experience of the day. When we affirm that God is with us, we are more likely to notice His hand at work in our lives, recognizing opportunities and blessings that we might have overlooked otherwise. In addition to personal declarations, we can also engage in communal affirmations of faith. Sharing our declarations with family, friends, or even a broader community can create an atmosphere of encouragement and support. When we unite in our declarations, we strengthen one another and build a collective faith that is powerful and transformative. The Bible reminds us in Matthew 18:20, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them." This communal aspect of declaring our faith creates a powerful synergy that amplifies our belief and strengthens our resolve. As we engage in this practice of declaration, it is important to be specific. Rather than making vague statements about our faith, let us articulate what we believe God is doing in our lives. We might declare, "Today I choose joy," or "I will walk in confidence, knowing that God is with me." Specific declarations have a way of anchoring our thoughts and actions, guiding us throughout the day. They serve as reminders of our purpose and the intentions we set for ourselves. Moreover, these declarations do not merely affect our mindset, they also impact our actions. When we declare our faith, we are more likely to act in accordance with those declarations. For instance, if we declare that we are strong and capable, we are more inclined to face challenges head-on rather than shying away from them. Our words compel us to take action, reinforcing the idea that faith is not just a passive belief, but an active choice that informs our daily lives. In times of difficulty, the power of declaration becomes even more pronounced. When we face challenges, our natural inclination may be to retreat into fear or despair. However, by declaring our faith in those moments, we shift our focus from the problem to the solution, God Himself. In the midst of trials, we can remind ourselves, "I am more than a conqueror, and I will trust in the Lord." With all my heart, these declarations serve as reminders of our identity in Christ and our ability to overcome adversity. As we commit to starting each day with declarations of faith, let us remember that this practice is an ongoing journey. It is not a one-time event, but a daily commitment to align ourselves with God's truth. Over time, these declarations will become ingrained in our hearts and minds, shaping our character and transforming our lives. Each morning, as we rise to face a new day, let us boldly declare our faith, knowing that our words carry the power to change our circumstances, illuminate our paths, and inspire those around us. When we speak with conviction, we not only affirm our beliefs, but also participate in the unfolding of God's promises in our lives, setting the stage for a day filled with purpose, joy, and divine intervention. Third, face your fears with courage. Facing fear with courage is a transformative practice that can redefine our experience as we navigate life's challenges. Fear is a universal emotion. It can arise in various forms, whether it be fear of failure, fear of rejection, or fear of the unknown. However, when we start our day with the recognition of God's presence, we are equipped to confront these fears with unwavering courage. The assurance that God is with us allows us to step into each day with confidence, knowing that we are not alone in our struggles. Psalm 27 serves as a powerful reminder that fear does not have to dictate our actions or define our lives. The psalmist writes, "Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war arise against me, yet I will be confident." This declaration exemplifies the strength that comes from faith in God. When we acknowledge His presence, we are reminded that no situation is too great for Him to handle. Our confidence is not rooted in our own abilities, but in the infinite power of our Creator. This shift in perspective enables us to face challenges head-on, knowing that God fights for us. Starting the day with this mindset allows us to confront our fears rather than avoid them. Many people spend their mornings dreading the tasks ahead or worrying about what might go wrong. However, when we approach each day with courage, we turn that dread into determination. Imagine waking up and declaring today, I will not let fear control me. I will take steps toward my goals, knowing that God is with me. This mindset empowers us to face difficult conversations, tackle daunting tasks, or pursue new opportunities that we may have previously shied away from. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. Rather, it is the ability to move forward despite fear. This is a vital distinction. We may still feel anxious or uncertain, but we do not allow those feelings to immobilize us. Instead, we choose to act in faith. The act of facing our fears requires intentionality. It is a decision to trust God even when we cannot see the full picture. As we engage in this practice, we develop resilience, learning that we can withstand challenges and emerge stronger on the other side. Moreover, facing fear with courage transforms not only our personal experiences, but also our influence on others. When we confront our fears boldly, we become examples for those around us. Our courage can inspire friends, family, and colleagues to do the same. By living fearlessly, we create an environment that fosters bravery and empowers others to step outside their comfort zones. We become catalysts for change, encouraging those around us to rise above their fears and embrace new possibilities. In the face of fear, we can also find comfort in prayer and scripture. Engaging with God's word helps to fortify our hearts against anxiety. Passages such as Isaiah 41:10, which states, "Fear not, for I am with you, be not dismayed, for I am your God," serve as powerful reminders of his promise to be with us through our fears. When we internalize these truths, we build a foundation of faith that enables us to confront our fears with confidence. Additionally, developing a daily practice of reflection can help us to face fear more effectively. As we start each day, we can take a moment to identify the specific fears that may be lurking in our hearts and minds. By naming these fears, we bring them into the light, allowing us to examine them more closely. We can then choose to lay these fears before God, asking for his strength to overcome them. This act of surrender allows us to release the burden of fear and opens the door for courage to take its place. Facing fear also requires a willingness to step into the unknown. Many of our fears stem from uncertainty about what lies ahead. By embracing God's presence, we cultivate trust in his plan for our lives. We learn to view the unknown not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. This shift in perspective transforms fear into curiosity, allowing us to approach new experiences with excitement rather than apprehension. As we embark on each day, let us remember that fear does not have to be our master. We have the power to choose courage, guided by the assurance that God is with us every step of the way. Embracing this truth enables us to break free from the chains of fear and step boldly into the future that God has prepared for us. Each morning, as we rise to face the day, let us declare our commitment to confront our fears with courage, trusting in the one who promises to be our light and salvation. With God by our side, we can navigate the challenges of life with unwavering confidence, knowing that no fear is too great to overcome. Fourth, seek God's guidance. Seeking God's guidance each day is a fundamental practice that can profoundly influence our lives. In the fast-paced world we live in, filled with choices and distractions, it is vital to center ourselves and look to God for direction. Starting our day by inviting God's guidance allows us to navigate life with clarity and purpose, ensuring that our actions align with his will. This conscious decision to seek God transforms our approach to daily challenges, interactions, and decisions, leading us to a more fulfilling life. In Psalm 27, the psalmist expresses a deep longing to dwell in the house of the Lord and to seek his beauty. This desire reflects an understanding that God's presence is not only a source of comfort, but also a wellspring of wisdom and guidance. When we start our day with the intention to seek God, we cultivate a heart that is open to his leading. This commitment invites God into our circumstances, allowing him to direct our paths and illuminate our decisions. Seeking God's guidance begins with prayer and intentional reflection. As we wake up in the morning, we can take a few moments to quiet our minds and hearts, inviting God to speak to us. This practice of stillness allows us to hear His voice amidst the noise of the world. We can ask specific questions about the day ahead, seeking clarity on the decisions we face, the relationships we will engage in, and the challenges we may encounter. By presenting our concerns and desires before God, we open the door for His wisdom to flow into our lives. Moreover, engaging with Scripture is an essential aspect of seeking God's guidance. The Bible is filled with timeless truths and principles that can provide clarity in our decision-making processes. As we read and meditate on God's Word, we can glean insights that inform our actions and shape our perspectives. The Holy Spirit works through Scripture to illuminate our hearts and minds, helping us discern God's will for our lives. Each verse becomes a guiding light, directing us in the way we should go. Another critical component of seeking God's guidance is the practice of listening. While prayer often involves speaking to God, it is equally important to pause and listen for His response. This may come through a sense of peace in our hearts, a feeling of unease, or even a thought that arises during our moments of quiet. We can cultivate a posture of receptiveness, allowing God to communicate His guidance in whatever form it may take. This listening practice strengthens our relationship with God, deepening our understanding of His character and His desires for us. Additionally, seeking God's guidance involves being open to the leading of the Holy Spirit throughout the day. Often, God provides direction through promptings and nudges that we may experience in our hearts or minds. These may come as ideas to pursue, people to reach out to, or decisions to reconsider. By being attentive to these leadings, we can navigate our daily lives with greater sensitivity to God's will. This openness creates a dynamic relationship with God, where we are constantly seeking His input and aligning our actions with His plans. In the midst of uncertainty, seeking God's guidance brings reassurance. Life is filled with unpredictability, and the choices we face can often feel overwhelming. However, when we invite God into our decision-making process, we are reminded that we do not have to rely solely on our understanding. Proverbs 3:5-6 instructs us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. This promise encourages us to relinquish control and trust that God will guide us through life's complexities. Furthermore, seeking God's guidance cultivates a sense of purpose in our daily activities. When we align our actions with God's will, we find greater meaning in our tasks and responsibilities. Each day becomes an opportunity to fulfill the unique purpose God has for us, whether in our work, relationships, or service to others. This sense of purpose propels us forward, encouraging us to make choices that reflect our values and priorities. As we practice seeking God's guidance, we will also discover the importance of community. Surrounding ourselves with fellow believers can provide additional wisdom and insight as we navigate our lives. Engaging in conversations with trusted friends, mentors, or spiritual leaders can help us gain clarity and perspective on our decisions. The collective wisdom of the body of Christ can guide us toward God's will, reinforcing the idea that we are not meant to journey alone. Seeking God's guidance each day is a transformative practice that shapes our lives in profound ways. By starting our mornings with intentional prayer, reflection on Scripture, and openness to the Holy Spirit, we invite God to direct our paths and to illuminate our decisions. This commitment brings reassurance in the face of uncertainty and fosters a deeper relationship with our Creator. As we align our actions with God's will, we discover a renewed sense of purpose and meaning in our daily lives. Each morning, let us make the conscious choice to seek God's guidance, knowing that He is ready and willing to lead us in the way we should go. When we invite His presence into our lives, we embark on a journey filled with hope, clarity, and divine direction. Fifth, cultivate a heart of worship. Pursuing God's purpose for our lives is a profound and transformative journey that requires intentionality and commitment. Each day presents us with unique opportunities to align our actions, decisions, and aspirations with the divine purpose that God has ordained for us. When we start our mornings with the desire to fulfill God's purpose, we position ourselves to live with greater clarity and significance, ensuring that our lives reflect His will and glory. The recognition that we have a unique purpose can be both empowering and humbling. The psalmist in Psalm 27 expresses a deep longing to seek the face of the Lord and dwell in his presence. This yearning reflects a profound understanding that true fulfillment is found in pursuing God's design for our lives. When we begin our day by acknowledging our desire to fulfill his purpose, we invite his guidance into our journey, allowing him to lead us toward the fulfillment of our unique calling. Starting the day with a focus on God's purpose requires an attitude of surrender. We must be willing to let go of our personal agendas, plans, and desires to embrace the divine direction God has for us. This act of surrender is not always easy. It requires us to trust that God's plans are greater than our own. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This promise reassures us that God has a purpose for each of our lives, and by surrendering to him, we align ourselves with his greater vision. When we commit to pursuing God's purpose, we also engage in a process of self-discovery. Understanding our God-given purpose often involves reflecting on our passions, talents, and experiences. Each of us has been uniquely equipped with gifts that are intended to be used for his glory. As we start our day, we can ask ourselves questions like, what am I passionate about? What gifts has God given me? And how can I use these gifts to serve others? This introspective practice helps us identify the ways in which we can contribute to God's kingdom, guiding our actions throughout the day. Moreover, pursuing God's purpose often involves taking proactive steps. It is not merely a passive process, but one that requires intentionality and action. As we seek to fulfill his purpose, we must be willing to step out in faith and take risks. This may mean engaging in new opportunities, serving in our communities, or reaching out to those in need. Each day offers a canvas on which we can paint our purpose through our actions and choices. By proactively seeking ways to serve and love others, we create a ripple effect that can impact those around us. In the pursuit of God's purpose, we must also be prepared to encounter challenges and obstacles. The journey may not always be straightforward, and we may face setbacks along the way. However, it is essential to remember that God uses these challenges to shape us and strengthen our faith. When we encounter difficulties, we can choose to view them as opportunities for growth rather than reasons to retreat. The trials we face often serve as stepping stones toward the fulfillment of our purpose, refining our character and preparing us for greater things. Furthermore, pursuing God's purpose requires us to be adaptable and open to change. As we grow and evolve in our faith, God may lead us in unexpected directions. Our understanding of his purpose for our lives may shift over time, and we must remain flexible and willing to follow his lead. This adaptability is rooted in trusting that God knows what is best for us and that his plans are ultimately for our good. By maintaining a posture of openness, we position ourselves to embrace new possibilities and experiences that align with his purpose. Additionally, seeking community and accountability can enhance our pursuit of God's purpose. Surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals who share our values and aspirations can provide encouragement, support, and insight. Engaging in discussions, prayer, and fellowship with others can help us discern our paths and gain clarity on our purpose. The collective wisdom of a supportive community can help us navigate uncertainties and provide motivation to stay the course. As we start each day with a commitment to pursue God's purpose, let us also remain grateful for the journey itself. The process of discovery, growth, and alignment with God's will is a beautiful adventure that unfolds over time. Each step we take in faith brings us closer to understanding our unique role in God's kingdom. This perspective allows us to celebrate even the small victories and lessons learned along the way. Pursuing God's purpose for our lives is a dynamic and transformative journey that begins with intentionality and surrender. By starting our mornings with a focus on fulfilling his will, we invite his guidance into our decisions and actions. Through self-discovery, proactive engagement, and adaptability, we can align our lives with the unique calling God has placed on us. Each day becomes an opportunity to reflect his glory and impact the world around us. As we embark on this journey, let us remain open to God's leading and committed to living out his purpose, knowing that in doing so, we find true fulfillment and joy in our lives. Finally, trusting God's promise of victory. Trusting God's faithfulness is a cornerstone of our spiritual journey and is essential for navigating the complexities of life. In a world filled with uncertainties and challenges, placing our trust in God provides a solid foundation that empowers us to face each day with confidence and assurance. Starting our mornings by reaffirming our trust in God's faithfulness not only strengthens our relationship with Him, but also equips us to navigate the trials and tribulations we encounter along the way. The psalmist beautifully illustrates this principle in Psalm 27, where he expresses his unwavering confidence in God's protective nature by proclaiming, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?" The psalmist sets the tone for a life rooted in trust. This declaration reminds us that regardless of the circumstances we face, we have a faithful God who is committed to our well-being. Trusting in His faithfulness means recognizing that He is actively working on our behalf, even when we cannot see the full picture. Trusting God begins with acknowledging His past faithfulness in our lives, reflecting on the times when God has come through for us, whether in moments of crisis, decisions, or simply in our day-to-day experiences, serves as a powerful reminder of His character. As we start each day, we can take a moment to recall the ways God has guided, protected, and provided for us in the past. This practice of remembrance fosters gratitude and reinforces our faith, allowing us to approach the present and future with a heart that is anchored in trust. Moreover, trusting God's faithfulness requires us to surrender our need for control. In our desire to plan and manage every aspect of our lives, we often find ourselves overwhelmed by anxiety and uncertainty. However, when we trust God, we acknowledge that we do not have to carry the weight of our worries alone. Philippians 4:6-7 encourages us to not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. This promise reassures us that when we release our anxieties to God, His peace will guard our hearts and minds. Surrendering control allows us to embrace the freedom that comes from trusting in His perfect plan. Trusting in God's faithfulness also means believing in His timing. We live in a culture that often emphasizes instant gratification and quick results. However, God's timing is often different from our own. His plans may unfold slowly, and we may find ourselves in seasons of waiting. During these times, it is crucial to remain steadfast in our trust, knowing that God is orchestrating events for our ultimate good. Isaiah 40:31 beautifully encapsulates this idea, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Trusting in God's timing allows us to cultivate patience and perseverance, knowing that He is working behind the scenes. Additionally, trusting God's faithfulness involves relying on His promises. The Bible is filled with promises that reflect God's unwavering commitment to His people. When we begin our day by meditating on these promises, we fortify our faith and remind ourselves of the truths we can cling to. For instance, Romans 8:28 assures us that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. This promise encourages us to trust that even in difficult circumstances, God is actively working for our benefit. As we internalize His promises, we find hope and assurance that He will fulfill what He has said. Furthermore, trusting God's faithfulness empowers us to take risks and step out of our comfort zones. When we are confident in God's character, we can boldly pursue opportunities that align with His purpose for our lives. Fear often arises from uncertainty about the future. However, when we trust that God is faithful to lead us, we gain the courage to take steps forward. Whether it's pursuing a new job, starting a ministry, or reaching out to someone in need, trusting in God's faithfulness compels us to act in faith, knowing that He will guide us every step of the way. In addition, cultivating a lifestyle of trust requires surrounding ourselves with reminders of God's faithfulness. This may include engaging with Scripture, participating in worship, and sharing testimonies with others. When we immerse ourselves in environments that celebrate God's goodness, we reinforce our trust and encourage others to do the same. Hearing how God has been faithful in the lives of those around us serves as a powerful testament to His character and strengthens our faith. As we begin each day, let us be intentional about reaffirming our trust in God's faithfulness. By reflecting on his past provision, surrendering control, relying on his promises, and stepping out in faith, we cultivate a deep-rooted trust that empowers us to face whatever comes our way. Trusting God does not eliminate challenges, rather, it equips us to navigate them with a sense of peace and confidence, knowing that our faithful God is by our side. With this assurance, we can step into each day with the conviction that we are held in his loving embrace and guided by his unwavering faithfulness. Trusting in God not only transforms our perspective, but also empowers us to live boldly for him, bringing hope and light to those around us. As we conclude our time together, let us reflect on the profound impact of starting each day with Psalm 27. Embracing the assurance of God's presence, seeking his guidance, pursuing his purpose, and trusting in his faithfulness shapes our lives in remarkable ways. Each of these elements empowers us to face our days with confidence and clarity, knowing that we are not alone in our journey. When we rise each morning, let us make a conscious choice to invite God into every aspect of our lives. Let us embrace his presence as our refuge and strength, knowing that he is our light in times of darkness. By seeking his guidance, we open our hearts to the wisdom that can direct our paths, ensuring that our decisions align with his divine will. As we pursue his purpose, we discover a profound sense of fulfillment that transcends our circumstances, bringing meaning to our daily endeavors. And as we trust in his faithfulness, we find peace amidst uncertainties, knowing that our God is always at work for our good. So my friends, I encourage you to carry the spirit of Psalm 27 into your daily lives. Let it be a reminder that with God by our side, we can face any challenge and overcome any obstacle. May each morning be an opportunity for renewal and strength, a chance to step boldly into the life he has called us to live. Together, let us commit to starting our days with the assurance that we are cherished, guided, and equipped to fulfill our divine purpose. As we embrace this truth, may our lives shine as beacons of hope and love, drawing others to the light that is found in Christ. Thank you for being here today, and may God bless you as you begin each day in his presence.